Okay, happy Monday, team. Gotta ask you a question. Do you guys remember that old viral clip on YouTube of that man? He was very camp and he was crying, begging the world to leave Britney Spears alone.
Leave Britney alone! Please.
Okay, well, that is basically me right now. That's how I'm feeling about Justin Timberlake. I'm just like, leave Justin Timberlake alone, please. I don't know if it's just me getting soft in my later years, but having read all of these articles about his DUI, I'm just asking, when did everyone agree to start hating JT? Just gotta leave that man alone. Also, apparently I've made a former New York Times writer very upset, Bari Weiss. She has written a newsletter about me for the crime of me questioning the World War II narrative. But before we get into that, we have to talk about Chrissy Teigen, Don't Kill Me. But she just loves the concept of children and teenagers and death. And she has said something so wild on her Instagram that we absolutely have to pause everything and talk about it. All that coming up on Candace. So many moons ago, I read this book by author Rodney Stark. It was entitled How the West Was Won. It's really a great book. Excellent. You should read it. Anyways, there's a chapter in it where he talks about the Aztec civilization and the amount of child and just altogether human sacrifice that took place. And in this one section, he intimates this Harvard researcher, his name was David Carrasco, who was moved to actually write a book about the human sacrifice after he reviewed a ritual receptacle where the remains of 42 children laid, quote, as a messy remnant of a 15th century precious offering to the rain gods. So you can imagine that you're this Harvard researcher, you go down and you're looking at this and you're going, my goodness, they sacrificed children. All because they thought, yeah, well, if we do this, then for sure the gods will recognize that we're really good people and it will rain. Yeah, that is really barbaric. And I've started to realize this. Somehow in our advanced society, we always look back on those things and we're shocked and we're surprised. And I think in our mindset is, we would never. How could the Aztecs have done this? Oh, you just should instinctively know that that is so wrong to sacrifice children. Us? No, we are civilized. We are so civilized. Except when you think about it, we actually do all the exact same things. We just use better technology. And I guess part of the technology is the psychology that comes along with it. We believe that because we use technology, we're not barbaric. We hold on to this belief that we're somehow more moral. And that idea was actually reinforced. If you guys listened to Friday's episode, I had on two guys who I really appreciate, both of them so much. I had on Ami Kozak and Dave Smith, and they were debating Israel versus Palestine. Riveting discussion. But then there was this point where Ami was talking about just how barbaric October 7th was, really talking about the savages and what they did to the Israelis. And by the way, point for him, absolutely, he's right. It was barbaric. But I was quite shocked when Dave Smith offered back, yeah, and what are they doing in response? The exact same thing. They're dropping bombs on innocent children and innocent women and innocent families, and you're killing them as a response. That is murder. And I think Ami was taken quite aback by that. Like, what do you mean it's murder? This is totally different. We're dropping bombs on homes. Again, we have some technology which makes what we're doing less barbaric than the people who parachuted in and did the same thing. Like, they killed innocent people. But of course, that topic has nothing to do with child sacrifice. We would go, okay, no. We would never, of course, sacrifice a child for something like rain. That seems crazy. Well, if you think that's crazy, you should listen to Chrissy Teigen. She would certainly like a word after something that she posted on Instagram over the weekend. Now, before I show you what she posted on Instagram, it's quite shocking what she said. We should just appreciate Chrissy Teigen as a brand in general, because I've never seen someone who is trying to brand being pro-death. That's what she's done, really. If you look at her career, if you look at really the collapse of her career, the hashtag that I started, Surviving Chrissy Teigen, when I realized this remarkable thread, Chrissy Teigen likes the concept of children and teenagers dying. This is why she notoriously was telling young women, teenagers at the time, to kill themselves. I'm not kidding, to kill themselves. I'm going to remind you of this tweet that she wrote about Lindsay Lohan. She wrote, "Lindsay adds a few more slits to her wrists when she sees Emma Stone." Oh, how sweet. Totally normal for a full adult married woman to be writing that about Lindsay Lohan. But that wasn't it. It got worse, of course, on the topic of Courtney Stodden, who was another celebrity who got married when she was 15, and then she sort of had a reality TV show. Well, she wrote this to Courtney Stodden because apparently she liked to watch the TV show. "My Friday fantasy at Courtney Stodden, you, a dirt nap. Baby." Yeah, dirt nap meaning buried beneath the ground, dead. Baby, she loves that. When Courtney Stodden was making the rounds and giving interviews and telling journalists that she wasn't just harassed publicly by Chrissy Teigen, she was also harassed privately by Chrissy Teigen. She said, quote, "She wouldn't just publicly tweet about wanting me to take a dirt nap, but would privately DM me and tell me to kill myself. Things like, quote, 'I can't wait for you to die.'" I cannot tell you how extraordinary that is. Just thinking about a grown adult married woman feeling inspired to jump into the DMs of a teenager and encourage them to kill themselves. Of course, what if she had done it? What if Courtney Stodden had killed herself? What if Lindsay Lohan had slit her wrists? What if Bristow Palin, who was also bullied by Chrissy Teigen and spoke out about it, and she wasn't the only one. It was also Farrah Abraham who spoke out. What if any of these women felt compelled to harm themselves or to kill themselves because of the words of a A-list celebrity, which she was at the time, married to John Legend? Yeah, that's pretty dark and pretty grim. But anyways, Chrissy Teigen kind of left the public conscience. Actually, people got it right and condemned her when they started recognizing this trend that I had exposed. Well, guys, hold on to your horses because she ain't done yet. If you're wondering what moves Chrissy Teigen to tears, well, it's the concept of dead babies. Take a listen to what she posted onto her personal Instagram page.
Hearing stories from your clinic, hearing that so many women come in there, and it's not a place of sadness all the time. It's not a place where people are feeling at their darkest points or anything like the world wants you to think. Some people go in there with so much hope and so much excitement because they know that they have a future. And so to see that so many people out there and the stories that you shared at your clinic of people having so much hope and positivity and a new outlook on life, it doesn't have to be this place of darkness and scary. And the level of comfort I felt just being at your clinic was so incredible. But I started crying once I saw this beautiful mural of butterflies above the operating suite. And I took one look at it and my eyes filled with tears, and I looked over at Dr. Zoe and she looked me in the eye and she said, "You could have had butterflies."
I'm just so disturbed. Please tell me. I know that there are plenty of people who follow me, young women who follow me, and you're not fully on the Candace train. You find this conversations that I start at least to be interesting, and maybe you are still pro-choice. But please tell me that you recognize how dark and disturbing that is. A woman brought to tears about the concept of an abortion clinic, looking up in a mural, moved to tears, going, oh, okay, at least when these women are being, quote unquote, operated on, what she means is that when these children, quite barbarically, are ripped out of their mother's wombs and literally torn limb from limb, they are poisoned. At least there's a butterfly mural that you can look up above. Because art makes people happy. She's moved to tears talking about words like hope. These women feel hope. These women should feel inspired. These women should feel excited walking into this clinic. Yeah, these are not adjectives or nouns, even when I was pro-choice, that I would have used to describe the process of abortion. You know, I've been actually very kind on the issue because I recognize why I was pro-choice. I was heavily propagandized in the classroom to believe that it was a clump of cells. I was heavily propagandized in the classroom to believe that the sacrifice, because that's what it is, would be worth it, because think about how unfortunate that child's life would be if you had a child when you were 18 or 19. And I watched my friends get abortions with those exact same perspective, and I know that those women are not pro-death. even though they were misled. And I think that the pro-life lobby just has to do a better job at recognizing that these people are not evil. When I look at Chrissy Teigen, a woman who has chosen to have IVF to have one of her children just because she wanted a surplus. It wasn't like she didn't already have her kids, but she wanted to have a fourth child, and she decided to go through the process of surrogacy and IVF. When I look at her being moved to tears over a mural, over the concept of a woman walking in to end a baby's life, I think that is an evil. I think this woman is so disturbed. I hope she finds God. I don't think she will, because I recognize that she is a part of a satanic system. And I am not using that word lightly. I am being serious when I say that Hollywood is attempting to glamorize child sacrifice. What she is trying to do is glamorize what the Aztecs did. That's it. That's the truth. She's glamorizing death. And no, she's not saying that at the end of this, it's going to rain. Right? If you kill your kids and you look up, maybe the clouds will cover the sky and suddenly rain will come down. Or the Aztecs also did it to build a temple, right? To sacrifice children so that they could build a temple as an offering to the god. No, she is saying that if you kill your kid, think about the hope of your career. So they're promising you. You're going to sacrifice, and then you're going to have more money, and you're going to have more financial success. Look at us. Look at me. Look at me, a Hollywood star. You don't have to believe in God because Hollywood is your God. We are the gods, the A-listers. Shockingly, John Legend jumped into the comment section when she posted this clip. Well, she just unironically posted this clip after knowing that her brand is child and teenage death. And he said, "I'm so proud of you." Yeah, he's just so proud of her. Wouldn't you just want this person to be the mother of your children? Someone moved to tears by the idea of dead children. They are wonderful. They are excellent. Let me tell you guys something. You better wake up to what is happening in Hollywood, because every way in which they are leading our children, our teenagers, and our society, it is toward demonism. There's just no question. I believe that she is possessed by a demon. I think Chrissy Teigen needs an exorcist ASAP. And I am not saying that lightly. Like, for real, call a priest and get an exorcism for Chrissy Teigen, because that right there is not normal. That's all I'm going to say on that topic. But I will tell you something. If you are concerned about this concept of demonism, if you are recognizing that what we are actually fighting on earth is a spiritual battle, then I need to tell you that you should be downloading Hallow. I'm excited for the summer because I'm able to stay consistent in my prayer routine, and the Hallow app makes that easy. It's my favorite prayer app. It's also the #1 Catholic app in the world, and an amazing app for any Christian that's looking to dive deeper into their prayer life. Hallow has thousands of prayers, meditations, and music, including new contemplative and contemporary Christian radio that I can listen to anywhere, anytime. This summer, Hallow has a number of powerful prayer challenges and scripture series coming up with biblical scholar Jeff Cavins, Jonathan Rumi from The Chosen, and even Jim Caviezel from The Sound of Freedom, and of course, The Passion of the Christ. So do not lose your prayer habits this summer, or begin your prayer habits this summer. Maintain your peace and deepen your relationship with God on Hallow. Download Hallow for 3 months free at hallow.com/Candace. All right, guys, now it's time to get into some stories. Before we do, I think this is going to be the week that we cross into 2 million subscribers already. I'm so excited. If you're watching this and you're enjoying the channel, please hit the subscribe button. All right, let's get into this. First and foremost, we have Justin Timberlake. I know everyone has been waiting on me to comment on this. I will say this. I am a sucker for a good meme, and the memes were exceptional pertaining to Justin Timberlake's arrest. I'm bringing sexy Bach, like B-A-C. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I found myself laughing out loud, sadly, at this man's pain, but you do have to appreciate a good meme, and hopefully when all this is over, he'll be able to laugh at himself. So just to give you the details, you've probably already heard about this. Justin Timberlake was in the Hamptons, as many celebrities tend to do. They're always in the Hamptons in the summertime, and a Sag Harbor police officer picked him up for drunk driving. He basically said that he was swerving, he smelled very strongly of an alcoholic beverage. Justin had said that he had only had one drink. He did not believe that was true. Justin Timberlake also refused to take a breathalyzer 3 times, probably an indication that he perhaps did have more than one drink. It has been reported that he had been partying at the American Hotel. He got into a car and then he blew a stop sign. So yeah, they picked him up they stopped him rather at 12:30 a.m. in the morning. And I think probably the saddest part is the police officer apparently had just left the academy. So he was really young and he had no idea who Justin Timberlake was. And that makes me feel very, very old. And so when Justin Timberlake said to him, "This is going to ruin the tour," well, that guy was like, "What tour? Literally, who are you? You're getting into the back of this cop car right now." And here is his mugshot that has been spread all around the internet. Now, I have been quite surprised with how mean people are being about Justin Timberlake, because I don't know if I've had my head in the sand, but I just don't remember when we all decided that we were going to hate Justin Timberlake. And so I was looking into this. I was like, whoa, when did we all decide that we hated Justin Timberlake? And people were like, well, the Janet Jackson thing. And I would just like to slow that down for a second. He didn't do anything wrong in that situation. I don't know if we're just picking on him because he's a guy, but just to remind you, he was performing with Janet Jackson on stage and they had agreed that he was going to, pull her outfit, but it's pretty heavily implied by herself, made a last minute costume change and decided that it would be fun to just release her own nipple on stage. It's pretty obvious from her statement that Justin wasn't involved in this. This was a statement that she gave regarding Nipplegate. I love that we're seriously saying Nipplegate. She wrote this: "The decision to have a costume reveal at the end of my halftime show performance was made after final rehearsals. MTV was completely unaware of it. It was not my intention that it go as far as it did. I apologize to anyone offended, including the audience, MTV, CBS, and the NFL." So again, after the final rehearsals. So Justin Timberlake would not have had anything to do with her costume being made or her costume being changed. And when you watch the clip, he looks genuinely surprised. So I guess people after years were like, no, he should have stood up and said something on her behalf. And it's like, no, she made a bad decision, her and her costume designer. I understand she's a woman, so we're kind of programmed to be like, oh my God, she's 100% a victim. But it seems pretty clear that he had nothing to do with it, because if he did, I'm certain she would have said something. She would have said, like, me and Justin made a decision and it wasn't the right one to make. He stayed out of it and he said nothing. And then years later, he had to apologize because for no reason, the world just kind of started hating Justin Timberlake. Well, I shouldn't say for no reason. The reason was because Britney Spears dropped her book. I think it was entitled The Woman in Me. And she was just telling people all sorts of facts about her childhood. And then she got to this portion where she talks about the topic of abortion, says that her and Justin Timberlake had an abortion, and he pressured her to get one. Okay, understandably, people are upset about that. But I do want to give people some perspective here. First and foremost, it is not unusual for 2 teenagers to get pregnant and for them to freak out and to say, let's get an abortion. Because like I spoke about in the monologue, obviously, well, you are being programmed to believe that your whole life is going to be over. We're not talking about 2 average teens either. We're talking about 2 mega pop stars who were dating at the time. A little bit of perspective, she released this book almost 23 years after they had been together. So I know the whole world was so angry at him, but I kind of thought it wasn't really nice for her to do that. I can't imagine if my high school boyfriend, and this would 23 years after the fact, decides to release a book about something that I did in high school, and then the whole world is mad at me, and not realizing that he's now a married father of 2 children, and that's severely going to impact not just his life, his children's life, his wife's life. Maybe he never told his wife that had happened. Who knows? But she was willing to do that because there was all of this sort of like, I don't know, I would say revenge for Britney spirit in the air. It was this free Britney movement. And so suddenly people just wanted to go back and pretend that everyone had done something to her. What he did sucked. Typical for a teenager. Again, they dated when they were 17 to 21 years old. They were kids. So I'm sure that the pressure, since we're only hearing her side, wasn't just coming from Justin Timberlake. It was likely coming from his mom, his manager, his business managers being like, she's got to get an abortion or your career is over. So it's not really fair that we hear her side of events. We forget that 23 years has elapsed and we just come down on Justin Timberlake because ultimately, and I'm going to tell you this, in my family, these things have happened where a man has put pressure on a woman to get an abortion. And guess what? Without resources to millions, without being the #1 top-selling pop star in the world, people in my family made a decision to keep their kids. So it was an option for her to still keep her kid. It's really not fair to put it fully on Justin Timberlake. You can be upset with me for having that take, but that's a take that I have. I feel like the world wanted to turn him into a monster on behalf of Britney Spears. And in reality, what happened to her, her conservatorship, and the drugs that were given to her, which I am very sympathetic to. I am Team Britney on that concept, but that had nothing to do with Justin Timberlake. He did something dumb when he was a teenager. Their relationship ended, and he's now over-apologizing for everything that he's ever done 23, 25 years ago, and it's not cool. But the piece of this story that I actually found the most compelling, I was watching Brett Cooper's show, and she made me feel very old again because she had a very Gen Z take on the entire situation. It was really hilarious, her bit. But she started pointing out that there is some interesting things going on between him and Jessica Biel. Like Jessica Biel has been on tour and giving really awkward answers on a press tour, very awkward answers regarding JT's quote unquote world tour that he's about to embark on. So take a listen to Brett Cooper talking about that.
His wife, Jessica Biel, who is stunning and very, very talented, she's been making the press rounds promoting a new book that she released and a couple of new projects. And she has said some incredibly illuminating things about their current family situation. Just watch.
I'm already exhausted. There's been 4 shows.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know how he is going to do it. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to get through it.
Yeah. How he is going to have little time to spend with his kids over the summer.
Just finding the time we can connect and see each other in person and get him with the kids. And we've never done this before with 2. So I don't know.
She's going to be working, and that if he has any time at all to rest, that he really needs to take that time to rest, and that he might try to do something with his family, but chances are he just is going to be needing to rest and definitely not out doing this.
And when he has his breaks, we'll hang out and try to do something that's relaxing and fun. He has to relax. Like, he really has to relax, you know? Like, we can't mess around.
I'm sorry. You can't mess around. What has he been doing? Also, those are 2 different interviews. She has been using this tone, telling this story multiple times. There is obviously something going on below the surface.
And that is where I would like to interject. I think the bigger picture here, and it's been unfortunate because the world has been so unforgiving, is that there is something going on beneath the surface. We shouldn't forget a couple of years ago, Justin Timberlake also got very drunk with his co-star. I think he was filming down in New Orleans, and they were seen holding hands. Then he had to issue a statement apologizing to his family and saying that he especially apologized to Jessica Biel because he had embarrassed her and had embarrassed his entire family by doing this, and he really just had a couple of drinks too many. So it seems that he is actually on some sort of a personal spiral, going through something, and it has probably been made infinitely worse by the fact that the world has decided to simply make him an enemy, not because of anything he's actually done, but because of people that they perceive to be bigger victims, even people that have kind of done things themselves, like Janet Jackson. Somehow he should have rescued her, and Britney had no say in what was going on with her, but he definitely did. I think it's all really crappy. I actually feel very bad for people with this level of celebrity because it becomes impossible for them to focus on the things that they need to focus on. And in this circumstance, it seems like they need to focus on their marriage for a lot of reasons. You know, I don't think that they are in a good union. And I think that that is probably what is guiding this spiral. I mean, that is just some weird stuff to say about your husband's tour. She also said some more stuff like, you know, the t-shirts are really cool on the tour. Like, what are you saying? He really needs his rest. It almost sounds like they're already separated. That's what it sounds like to me. Because if you're telling me that he's that busy, but he's out drinking alone and he doesn't have time for you and your kids, it sounds like they're already separated. And what JT should probably do is press pause on the world tour, spend some time with his family, spend some time with himself, you know, really evaluating his life. And maybe people will be sympathetic to the fact that if you're thinking about a guy who became as famous as he did, as young as he was, he's probably been through a lot of stuff. And just because he's not writing a book called The Man in Me, women tend to share more than men do, doesn't mean that he does not also have suffering. So I say, pray for Justin. But a better way to say that is, leave Justin alone, please. All right, guys. Now, I wish goodness for him. I wish goodness for pretty much everybody but Chrissy Teigen, I think. And I think a great way for people to have goodness is to sign up for Good Ranchers. I just love it. You guys see me posting it on my Instagram. I am a Good Ranchers stan, so I'm going to tell you all about them. We know that the prices right now are up. The quality seems to be down in the stores, and there are more imports than ever that are coming in. Well, Good Ranchers is basically saying no to all of that. If you head to goodranchers.com, you are going to be welcomed into the #1 place to get 100% American meat. For this uniquely American holiday, by the way, we have the 4th of July coming up. You can celebrate the sweet taste of freedom with savory meats conveniently delivered right to your door. That really is the best part. It's so easy. So whether you're hosting a backyard barbecue, a pool party, or a beach bonfire, Good Ranchers has you covered. Just shows up at your door, guys. Come on. In fact, right now, you can save on Good Ranchers meat like never before as well by subscribing to any Good Ranchers box. Plus, you'll get free smoked brats for a year. It's more than just a great deal. It's a chance to celebrate America by supporting American family farms and enjoying the highest quality American meat. All you have to do to claim this offer is go to goodranchers.com and subscribe to any of their custom curated boxes filled with 100% American beef, chicken, pork, or wild-caught seafood. And you can use my promo code Candace at checkout to claim your $100 off and free smoked brats for a whole year. Get free shipping on all of your orders and make this Independence Day one to remember. And if you need another reason to support Good Ranchers, they're not only amazing partners of this show, but they also support the paralyzed veterans of America too. Every order saves American farms and supports American veterans, and it changes the way that you buy meat. Go to goodranchers.com. American meat delivered. All right, guys, moving on. Do you remember Barry Weiss? Much ado was made about this New York Times reporter who was quitting morally. I love these moral quits. I'm morally quitting because I don't recognize this publication. Yet New York Times, immediately for me, any person that's working there is shady. I file them as shady just based on the fact that we know that the New York Times is an arm of the state. And I found the timing to be suspect. All of these people that were popping up pretending to be independent journalists, they just want to tell the truth. And people were like, this woman is so brave. I love her. Yeah, well, Barry Weiss does not love me. I've told you before, she's been celebrating me she had an article ready, honestly. She was celebrating me leaving a Daily Wire because how dare I talk about Emmanuel Macron's husband? How dare you without the authority of the New York Times? And I just wanted to show you guys how dishonest these people are. I mean, I know the mainstream media is over, but it needs to be even more over than ever before because these people are all clowns. Barry Weiss got triggered, and I should say she actually made her wife, Nellie Bowles, write a piece on me that went out as a newsletter because she was so triggered by the idea that I'm questioning World War II narratives. So she's sending it out to everybody who signed up to her newsletter because they really believe that she took a moral stance against the New York Times and their lies. And the first thing she does, of course, is she just lies. I mean, this is what she wrote. This is a piece of it, at least. Quote, Candace Owens comes out against World War II. Candace Owens, a star conservative commentator, now building her own media company, argues that it was a mistake for the U.S. to enter World War II. This is where the new right is at. They believe World War II was a mistake. The Nazis would have been fine controlling Europe, which is none of our business anyways. And when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, we should have said, thank you. Hawaii always seemed gay to us too. Men wearing necklaces made of flowers. Thanks for bravely saying what no one else will dare to say, Candace. I mean, how hysterical does that even sound? Is that even a newsletter? Who's actually subscribing to that? Who's like, I really feel like reading the emotional rantings of a lesbian couple, because that's what that sounds like to me. And I didn't want to share the whole newsletter because it is Pride Month, and I just feel that she is leaning into every stereotype of a lesbian, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with what Barry's doing there by pretending that she's completely unhinged and irrational. Of course, we as Americans, have a right to question our government, especially when we know that our government has lied to us about virtually everything. Not only have they lied to us about the past, they're lying to us about the present. We are watching them presently lie about virtually everything. They lied about COVID. So yeah, it does actually register to me as something worth questioning whether or not America did become a freer country after World War II, when it doesn't seem that we have. And of course, the stuff that she's making up there about me saying, oh, Pearl Harbor, we should have just let it happen, because that's just her being emotional and crazy. Again, that was written by her very pregnant wife, Nellie Bowles. And at the end of the day, what the establishment wants, and she's a part of this establishment, is never-ending war, right? They are a part of the military-industrial complex. They want your kids to go die to serve their interests. And, Barry is a pro-Israel stan. I actually read online, I'm not sure if it's entirely true, that she's a dual citizen. And so, Barry, I'm totally cool. You're having children. Send your children to go die for Israel. That's cool. Go move to Israel. You and your wife should move to Israel. And you can live in that climate. But trying to convince the rest of us that dying overseas in wars, while we look around and we see that everything in America is on the decline, it's just not cutting it anymore. People appreciate those of us that are willing to stand up and say that these never-ending wars need to stop. People appreciate an America First perspective. And you know what? We're not going to bat an eyelash when you call us isolationist. We tried it your way for decades. We've tried never-ending wars for decades. And like I said, Americans are suffering in a ton of different ways. I'm talking about crime in the inner cities, when we're talking about gas prices, we're talking about people just trying to feed their families. So no more death of American men to serve overseas interests. All right, guys, this episode, we're already up against time here. Let's get into some of your comments regarding episodes past. This was my favorite comment, and it actually wasn't under my YouTube channel. I guess Morgan was quite embarrassed by the fact that he couldn't pin me when we had our debate, and he did another video where I wasn't present, and he tried to pretend like, I don't know, we both won in a weird way, and people were just calling him out in the comments, really saying how embarrassing it was that he lost so badly that he had to do a second video to even talk about the debate. Anyways, this comment from HeyCutie90 reads, "It was an interesting debate. Gotta say that Brigitte Macron rabbit hole is way wilder than I anticipated. I am generally allergic to conspiracy theories, particularly petty ones that have no effect on my life. But geez, the more you learn about Brigitte, the crazier it gets." Yes, guys, I would have never brought that story to the forefront and said, I'll stake my entire career on it if I did not believe that it was very true. Like I said, the evidence is overwhelming that Brigitte Macron is a trans woman. Brigitte Macron was born a man. And the fact that they are gaslighting the French people and now trying to gaslight the world, as Piers Morgan was doing. He didn't even read the piece by the journalist, the 6-part series of excellent work, excellent journalism that was conducted. He's just trying to tell you, don't even look at it, trying to just completely take you another direction. Yeah, that's done. Like, I just feel like now we recognize that these bad faith state actors are trying to distract us from the truth. So I really loved that comment. Also, obviously, we had the debate between Ami and Dave on Friday, as I previously mentioned. This user writes, "I could be wrong, but isn't Israel given more money from the U.S. than any other country? This is taxpayer money. I feel that gives us room to criticize both governments." Yeah, if you're going to be a welfare recipient and you can't stand on your own 2 feet, then I will talk trash if I want to talk trash. And I don't like Bibi Netanyahu. I want to talk trash. And I don't like a bunch of innocent Palestinians dying. I'm going to talk a little bit of trash. And lastly, and most importantly, I don't like that we're giving them money so that they can supply the arms for Christians to be murdered. So you don't get to tell me that I have to care about your faith first. Next, Suada writes, "Palestinians did not choose their oppressor. It happens to be Jewish. Does he think Palestinians would behave differently if their oppressors were Hindus?" That's actually a good point as well. And what she's referring to is the fact that Ami believes that their hatred is inspired by the fact that Jewish people are, like, because they are Jews is why they want to attack them. And actually, I think that if what happened back in 1949 had been executed by Hindus or Christians, they would probably be equally as angry. So I don't think it has anything to do with what religion you worship, so to speak. They feel that what was done to them historically was wrong. Doesn't matter who did it. Lastly, we have this comment on Manekt. I love that my Manekt is blowing up. You guys are sending me messages and I am sending you back voice messages, and it just feels very personal, so I love it. This person writes, "Hi, Candace, there are not enough words for the story, but you have changed my life. 3 moments that changed everything within the last 2 years. 1, meeting a good man. 2, listening to one entire Candace Owens podcast. And 3, being introduced to RFK's work. I watched 1 episode of your show. I agreed with some. I kept watching. You introduced me to RFK, which helped me open my eyes to the lies of the government. I read his books, suddenly understood your message. The evil lies of Satan have openly taken over. We are a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. You helped me have a spiritual awakening. I went from Democrat, liberal, feminist to ultra conservative. I've always been religious, and it was something I was never able to relate to my liberal friends with, so I suppressed it. You helped me be brave. My soul is happier. I always felt something was missing. Following the word of God was missing. So thank you. Also, I know how you feel already, but RFK is everything you stand for, truth. Give him a chance, please. Thank you. I love that so much for you. As I say to everyone, I'm kind of an acquired taste. I think when people first hear me, they're like, ooh. And I think that's because the media kind of indoctrinates them a little bit first. Like, this girl's so terrible. She's not even supporting Black Lives Matter and she's Black. And then if they actually sit down and watch a full episode of my show, I think they go, oh, wait, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting. And maybe they come back for more. And then eventually I'm in there. And you love me, and I love you guys right back. That's all the time that we have for today. Reminding you, these will be discontinued if we cross 2 million subscribers, which I think we might be on track to do that by the end of this week. So do not forget to join Club Candace. Go to clubcandace.com. Get yourself a Standis cup. And by the way, if you don't want to do that, but you instead wish to just keep supporting the show, the monthly supporters, the annual supporters, it makes all the difference. Please go to locals.com and support. And if you can't, I get it. It's hard financially right now for a lot of people. Just pray for us. Genuinely pray for us, because I believe the prayers are keeping me safe. I'll see you guys tomorrow.